Good morning.
That's how it's starting. Hey, everybody, it's Kelby, joined with Drew and Tim again. We're here for a Learn from Tim. How you guys doing today?
Outstanding.
Really good.
Good to hear. I don't think there's really anything to talk about other than the question today. The question for today and what we're going to focus on is what to expect when it comes to owning a company and the work-life balance, so they say, and how do you manage it. I guess a lot of people could say, I mean, I'm not much of a balance guy because I'm someone that's like, I want to put 100% into everything. Like when I'm at work, I want to put 100% there. When I'm with my wife, I want to give 100% there. When I'm with my kids, I got to give 100% there. I think when people separate themselves too much, I think that's when they start getting complacent or when they start missing stuff. So I guess we're kind of asking you as the business owner, the big dog of Armcore Construction, how do you manage work life? And I guess over time we'll get into it. Like, how has it started from the beginning till now?
Well, when I started in the beginning, it was always work.
Yeah.
It was work at home, work at the office, work on the road, work on a project. It was work, constantly work. And as you grow the business and hopefully you're doing the right thing by learning and reading and on what the next shift is. And as you grow the company, you're working at work, but you're not in the field, you're not in the projects, but you're working at work and you're still bringing it at home. Then you have to, at that point, that home part needs to stop. What can help you stop? Well, I created a time routine. So I wrote down 4 habits of time. 5 to 6, I work out. 6 to 7, I pray, meditate, listen to the word. From 7 to 8, I come in the office and I prep for the day, and I end at 4:45. Once you get yourself into a time routine of a habit, then you know you're done. You're done, and it's helped drastically. I've been doing it for the past 3 years, and it's helped me out tremendously because you leave work and you go home, and that's what you do, and that's being happy, having fun, and doing things with your spouse and kids.
There's a lot to unpack with this topic now that you just started, but at what point, to back up, did you realize you needed to change, that you needed to set like a routine and stick to it?
Stress. If you bring in something at home and that's all you're thinking about, you lost focus with your spouse, your kids. It really was a wake-up call because the clock doesn't stop. And the only way to measure that time or at least enjoy that time is put yourself on a time routine. Mm-hmm. And that's where I started seeing, as everyone was growing up in our family, I was missing out on the opportunity to not worry about what was going on at work. Even the company we had before Armcore, it took away a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, was there just a moment that just clicked and you're like, I gotta change, or I gotta do something different?
It was my wife seeing what was happening, and she just said, "Hey, this needs to stop. Are you really enjoying what you're doing?" So the question was more of a question: Are you enjoying what you're doing? Of course, I enjoy it, but there's more to it. There's more than just work. Work for people that work. They come home and they don't have to worry about other things. But people or owners can do the same thing. My mind always goes, but there's times that you can shut your mind off and just put it into another mode. But, it was a wake-up call.
Were you self-aware of how you were being or how it was going for you, or do you think it takes that initial shock from someone else to be like, this needs to stop?
It's got to come from somebody else, I think. Some owners out there realize it. They've learned it. They've seen it. They've created it. But there's so many YouTubes. There's so many books, everything out there that I wasn't doing to find out because I was so glued and entailed because I didn't want to fail. Mm-hmm. When you don't want to fail, you work harder and you're not working smarter.
That's a good point. That was going to be my next question. I said, what makes you get into that, I guess? Feeling like you have to go. It's just the failure right there. I mean,
You worry about what people think. If you fail, they talk about you behind your back, but you don't really know they're doing that or not. That's more of your mindset. That's more what you think. Um, are they really talking about, if they even are, that you failed? Oh, look, hey, did you hear about this guy at this business? He failed. He didn't do what he should have done, this and should have done that. There's always a should have. But if you start thinking about, don't worry about what's everyone thinking about, that's how smarter you get with business. Not worrying about the situations that are outside of you. Don't even worry. It's just,
Yeah. How do you do that for someone out there that's in that situation right now, worried about? Because I have a saying that I tell people, even myself sometimes, is what do people think of me or say about me? It's none of my business. I mean, I used to really care about what people thought about me in high school and college. It's like I always wanted. I mean, that's what the society we're in nowadays is instant gratification. Like we're looking for that like, we're looking for that follow on social media, and we're wanting people to like us. We want everybody to like us. We don't want confrontation. We don't want people to think bad of us. So I guess what's some things, I mean, you started out thinking that probably you were worried about whether there's others thought. So what did you do now? What do you do now?
um, well, there's all kinds of things that I do now. One of the simple things, I've had to create something, and I thought, well, geez, hey, I've heard so many other things out there, but you look at a chameleon, and a chameleon, God created a chameleon to match up to the background. You can't see it, so it matches the background. What I felt and what people need to do, or a company or anything in life, is let the background match you. Is grab the background. So if a business, you're going to grab the people around you. You want them to blend in with you. You can't make them, but it kind of helps you making people accountable. And that's the reverse of a chameleon. But what I had to do is really figure out, and I started reading the Bible a lot more. And it's more of a sense at that time when I was doing it was more of a leadership role of how this book was written. And people can look at it differently, but I look at it as a great leadership, and that's how I started off on seeing what I needed to do. There's been many things I don't care what part of the Bible it says, don't worry about what others think. It took me a long time, and I still every once in a while worry about that, but not as much as I used to.
Yeah. What are some other symptoms that you'll notice for people now that they can become self-aware of and kind of stop this themselves? Because we say it will take someone to get you to realize like, hey, you're not doing, this isn't the best way to go right now. So what are some other symptoms someone could look out for that they're working too hard and they're not balancing that out, and they're disregarding their family or disregarding their other task in life that you have to take care of?
There's certain 2 or 3 questions in that question.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to worry. You're not supposed to think about what people think. And that's one of the hardest things that people have to get through. And I think it's just a repetitious thing that you need to meditate yourself on believing how you look. What do you look, and where you're at, and what you're happy at. God created you. But in business is that you need to think of just you, because when you start thinking and worrying about everything else, you lose focus. And you can see that in many ways. When you start thinking and looking on the outside and worrying about that, you're not good. There's a lot of owners out there like that, and I was one of them. And I still partially every once in a while, there's competitors out there you'll drive by and you'll see, oh my gosh, they're building a great building, and why are they getting all that work? Never ask why.
So you're comparing yourself to others.
You compare, and then it's one of the things that people do. They always compare each other. You were created as one, and if you take that one and learn from yourself, that's how you become. And so start thinking about where you are, how you are, who you want to be. That's your gift.
So that's where the symptoms come in. If you set your goals and set your standards and you're not going by those standards or hitting those goals, that's the symptom right there. So if you're not feeling what you want to feel, and you're becoming self-aware of that, that's self-awareness is huge. I mean, and you've obviously, you're admitting to it now that you right now still have hiccups and stuff, but becoming self-aware of it. But those symptoms is basically the opposite of what you want. And when you identify that, you can pause, make a plan, and then take action on that plan.
It's amazing. And you're exactly right. It's amazing how much, when I'll sit there and I call it meditation, or you can call it whatever, is not have anything in listening or read or anything. Think about what you want to be and what you want to do. Think about and see it, visualize it, make a movie out of it. You know, you can watch YouTubes and they have all this stuff about that stuff. But if you really just do it and don't listen to anything else, just you and your mind, your thoughts can create what you want to be as long as you do it every day. Mm-hmm. And that has helped me drastically for Armcorps to succeed, to learn, and to go that direction or where I needed to be.
Mm-hmm. There was a golfer this weekend at the amateur that made it in the top 10. I don't know if you guys seen this, but he has a tattoo, I'm pretty sure, on his wrist. His dad wrote it, and it said, "Don't wait to do something." I think it was something like that, to paraphrase it. And that's exactly right. I mean, you can watch all the YouTube videos, you can watch all the podcasts, you can read all the books, but until you take action on what you want, you're never going to get it. I mean, so that's just crazy. It's just creating that plan, becoming self-aware, creating the plan, taking action on that plan.
I think one way, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're good.
To be self-aware is what you were saying is if you're a chameleon or if you're not a chameleon. If you're like, I like to say politicians are chameleons because they go with the flow and try to blend in with everything that's going on in society. Like, just like on healthcare or whatever it is, they try to be the right for those people. But if you want to be the opposite, you were saying exactly, like if someone sees you being different than you have been in your past, or see you acting a different way and not following what you followed before and trying to blend in with the people, then that's one way people can show you exactly who you are becoming, and you can identify that, like, oh, that's not what I agree with. Why am I doing this? Why am I trying to blend in with these ideas when I've had ideas in the past where I can be not that chameleon. I can be my own person, which I think when you were with your old company, I think your balance was way off, personally. Like, you were being the chameleon of work and work only. And I feel like as kids, I mean, you were gone a lot, but once you became your own company in your own way, you didn't have to be that blended in person anymore. So I could see the transfer of balance between being with another company, not being a full owner, and then being an owner, which is kind of weird because you think the balance would be way off if you're your own owner, because you're by yourself basically. So you think the balance would be off, but no, I think I've seen a big difference in you not following the routes of what the COVID or all that stuff. You're not giving in to all of these new things coming out. You're sticking to what you know and what you've done before.
Yeah. And that, that's that chameleon theory, because when you're a chameleon, you're not a leader.
No.
And if you become the non-chameleon, you're a leader because you're wanting people to look up to you and you have your way. Let the others match you. Let them come to you to match you. Don't come and match with them and fall in the group.
Stop blending in.
Stop blending in and be your own, because that's what people look up to. Mm-hmm. So that's that chameleon theory.
Yeah.
Be reverse of that. And when you start thinking that is, I don't want to blend in, think about how can I unblend and let others blend in. That's where your culture, that's where all your company and as a business is created, and let others blend. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. One can be a leaf, one can be a tree trunk. They're all different people. They're all different items.
Yeah.
But they can all blend with you, how they can.
I think that's why I don't like the word balance, because I feel like if you're trying to balance your life, that's not really being a leader. I mean, I've transitioned in more to just you can't be in one task. You can't be with your spouse and also try to be with your kids or also try to be at work. If your mind is at work, but you are physically with your spouse, it's not going to work. I mean, it's going to lead to problems. And that's why I'm starting to realize that the word balance is not good. I mean, if you're literally trying to tip the scale to try to not be over here too much or not be over here too much, like you're not there. You're not in either one 100%. I mean, if you're with a kid, if you're with one of your kids, you have to be intentionally there. I mean, the most valuable thing to a kid is time. I mean, I saw something the other day too. They spell love Time. Time. Like that's what the kids want. That's what it means to them. So if you're just there but you're doing this and on your phone, your kid's talking to you, which I do that, and I have to stop myself. That's where that self-awareness comes in. And I think the motto of this whole thing is just self-awareness. But the word balance, it's more and more just annoys me, to be honest with you, because you're not going to be able to give 100% to each task in your life. And I guess that's what was one of my next questions is what did you start doing? What do you do now? You hear the saying, like, I take my work hat off, put on my home hat or something like that. I mean,
I don't use that. I use adaptability of discipline. Be disciplined and be adaptable. So I've always been, you can say discipline, adaptability, but you got to adapt. The balance is never there. If you are balanced, you're not going to go, life is not balanced. It's always up and down. You got to learn how to be disciplined to adapt. So that means if you're down in the valley, you need to learn and understand that you're going to adapt and have faith that discipline is going to get you back up. If it's balanced, you're not going to do anything. The balance is balance.
Well, if you think about it, like think of a balance scale, one of those ones that tips, to get that thing even, you got to have basically the same amount on each side, but you can't be 100% on the left and 100% on the right. Like you're 50-50 to get that balanced. If you want to see that scale tip to one side, you have to have 100% of the weight over there, right? I mean, so think about that. Like it's just a bad term to have that work-life balance. Like if I have 50% at work still and 50% over here with my family, like I'm not giving my family 100%. I'm not able to give work 100%. So there's 50% of me that could become complacent. That could cause an accident at work or miss something that could lead to something bigger. So just more and more, I think, can talk about it. That balance, we can't be balanced.
I think it should be called work-life adaptability, because if something comes up, you want to be able to give that thing 100%. I mean, life is life. If you're dealing with family and something comes up at work, that's absolutely important. You need to give that work 100%. You can't leave your heart with your family when you have to get that 100%, or even if it's at work and you have a family situation, you have to flip it.
I think it comes down to intent. Like what's your intent? Like if I'm with my family, all of a sudden something comes from work and your family, you can deal with your family and make sure, hey, we're good here. Check the boxes here. But now I got to go deal with this at work. But if I'm still thinking about something that happened and what I just left, how am I going to give that 100%
Right,
at work? How am I going to be able to focus on that and not miss something on that? It's intent. I mean, it's just like good and evil. Like if someone says, if I come to someone and give them this fake mantra of I'm cool with you, I like you, this and that, but then I go behind their back and I talk crap about them, it's the same thing. It's just the intent of what I gave them. Like my intent was not there. It was fake.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of self-awareness, intention, discipline, and like adaptability.
You're exactly right of the balance. They always say a balanced meal, there's a lot of things for the balance. If you look at a situation that happens with you at home and you're an owner and something happens, you've got to have that tension because it'll throw you off. But if you work it well enough, you can handle that situation because now you remember your routine that you have every day. It's a habit. Your habit and your routine is stronger than that deflect. And saying, hey, this happened, knock it out, set it aside. Something serious, okay, this is what happened, do what you got to do, and then get back to where you were at.
That's a great point, because I was going to ask, so there's obviously priorities in life. I mean, it's obvious for me how it goes. It's me first. I wake up with me first. I make the choice to go to God first, and then I go to my wife, because that became before kids. I enter God into that relationship. I go to the kids, enter God into that relationship. But there's got to be priorities. Like if you're at work and something from family, you got to rack and stack, right? But then you made a good point. It's like I'm at work. Something happens with my family. I go take care of that. I'm there 100%, take care of that issue. But then I can circle back around with my habits and my discipline and jump right back into that routine at work.
That's what keeps you in that weighted option. There's weighted options in things.
Mm-hmm.
You weigh it, you see it, you take care of it. Once you have that habit that helps you be stronger, that's why you look at it every day. You focus you're doing your routine, and it's not repetition. It's just a routine that you do. It helps you be that in that option of adaptability. So if something does come in front of you, it's like a car accident.
Yeah.
It's anything that comes in front of you, you react to that situation.
When you think about, sorry, go ahead.
Shoot, like if that family event does occur and you don't take care of it right away, then and you leave it to the end of the day, your mind, you're not giving 100% to work. It's in the back of your mind, and your habits are out the window. Like
knock it out.
You have to knock it out.
You have to knock it out. That's why it happens.
It's definitely great to be at an organization like this to where people understand that. It's not like, there's probably some organizations that are like, no, you need to get your job done. Well, that person, that boss, guess what? That person is not going to be there for you.
Yeah, 100%. How can you focus? It just doesn't make sense. You can't function as a company if your people aren't focusing.
And that all starts with rumors. It when people talk, people lose their focus because they love gossip. And if they're not factual and they don't have it set up to be, get facts, recon that mission, recon that. Look, get it facts. Don't react to it. If you're a Christian and you believe in God, there is no reaction, but it's these things we're talking about is what you have to create goals. Think about it. People have goals every day, but if you don't look at them and you look at them the next week and you're still at the same and you didn't hit your goal, well, because you didn't look. And so if you have a habit to know that you're going to do it as a routine, you have to work on it. If you put numbers to it a year down the road, that number is still not what you wanted. Well, that tells you didn't work on it. Then that just depresses you.
Yeah.
And you go,
that's what I was about to say is like, you can set those goals, but the moment someone wakes up in the morning and spills their coffee, their mindset jumps to like, now this is the worst day ever. So everything's it's law of attraction. They're going to spill their coffee. Something's going to happen on the drive to work. And they have taken their focus off those goals, off of the standard, off of what they want. And now their whole day's a mess. Their life becomes a mess. And that's where you have to become self-aware and revert back to that discipline, that habit.
That's business.
Yeah.
That's business. That's family. That's life.
That's why, I think 75 hard, I've tried it multiple times and I failed, but I have a really main goal of completing it because it sets that discipline. It sets that habit of doing the small things. Andy Frisella said, if the smallest thing in that workout, the 75 hard is the picture. He's like, yeah, you don't see a difference every day. And sometimes you think it's not even worth it. But at the end of 75 days, you see the difference between the first day and the last day. But that small little task that you would just blow off usually, you complete it every single day. Now you have a habit of, you have to go as a process. You have to create the habit. You have to include everything in your process, even if it's tiny. If you forget that for 75 days in a row, you're not going to be the person you want to be.
And so you have your conscious mind, your subconscious mind. And how you get your subconscious mind is create a habit and a routine. So that subconscious mind understands that routine and habit every time. It automatically goes to that. Repetitiously. Do it 21 days, 30 days, 2 weeks. What happens, though, your conscious mind reacts too quickly. And your conscious mind reacts to where your coffee spills.
It's the reactive mind.
It's a reactive mind. So if you just sit back, first thing, anything happens, coffee spills, back off, let it go. It's going to be there. But let your subconscious mind kick in. I guarantee if you breathe deep 3 times, It always happens. It always turns around that you actually become smarter on that reaction.
Yeah.
That's that self-awareness.
So-
Because you could probably admit that you were never like that. We were very reactive. I'm still to this day reactive to certain situations, but I still have I'm building that discipline because I'm putting the work in to maybe step back. I've reacted, but how far am I going to let this go? Am I going to let everything just bother me the rest of the day? Or can I become self-aware and be like, all right, hold on, Kelby, this happened. Let's stop and revert back to this subconscious habit that I built. And I mean, I've come so much further, and I'm sure you've been able to, like, with just creating your own disciplines.
I have less doubt. If you react so quickly with your conscience, you have doubt all the time. Now, if you hold off on making them actions, you have less doubt.
Yeah.
You're not doubting yourself because I gave it time. I've always been a person to react very quickly. And, it was one of our core values that maybe it shouldn't have been, is that quick response.
Because quick responses can become emotional. That's a good point.
And so that's what we've taken off, because if everyone's quick to respond, then they're saying things or doing things that shouldn't have done. So we've got a good setup, and that's how culture is created, is that reverse of the chameleon. Let people follow you because you want them to match.
I mean, you can reset a belief system. That's your subconscious. I mean, that's consciously becoming self-aware. Just to kind of summarize where we've gotten with this is just how to manage it. Manage the stress basically has become first is self-awareness, that you're not in the place that you want to be. Set those goals, set those standards. Don't waver from them. Obviously, we're human. We're going to waver from them and become consciously reactive to a situation sometimes. But if you, over time, like doing 75 hard or doing something, a task over and over and over, no matter how monotonous, no matter how small it is, you're going to create that. If you want that, if you have a thought in your mind that's created a belief, you can change it. You can rewrite it. You just self-aware, just think the opposite of what you're thinking.
Yeah.
You'll start feeling the emotions towards that thought. Then you'll start taking the actions, and then it's just a cycle. That's how you rewrite it in that subconscious to follow that. And that's what you'll be able to come and revert back to. It's a lot of cool stuff that you can think about, but I think, like you said, just to start, it's the self-awareness. It's setting that standard, the discipline, focusing on it, and then just adapting. I mean, we got to adapt and overcome certain situations. Life is never going to be easy, but you can get stronger. You can get better when you add these disciplines. To get through the darkness, to get through the tough times, you got to do hard stuff, because we get tempted all the time to say, oh, we can go to alcohol, we can go to drugs, we can go to porn, we can go to all this stuff because I'm stressed right now and this is my outlet. But guess what? That takes you in a darker place that you don't even realize until it's rock bottom.
Yeah.
So there's ways out of this. And I mean, it's nice to have this podcast where you can share your experience, because I mean, we know firsthand what we've seen from our father. Like coming home, it was like the running joke, like, oh, Dad's grumpy, like he's got the face on. I mean, yeah, but I mean, you were a great father. I'm super proud of you and everything that you've gotten, but it's just like, I mean, you've admitted to it.
I admit to it all. It was the most, it's not stupid. It was a lesson learned that I wish I would have never done. It's back. It's the past. I can't worry about the past, and I can't worry about tomorrow. All I can do is to be the best of me today.
Exactly. People want to say it comes with the territory of business ownership, but it doesn't have to. We're literally, I don't know everything. I'm still not to where I want to be. I'll never be that. But these tools work. I've seen it. I've experienced in my own life. I mean, seeing where I've gotten in the last 10 years is ridiculous. I mean, it can happen. It's just taking the action. It's not just sitting back and just falling into that temptation and that deception from the devil of just falling into these terrible habits that we want to keep doing because we think it's comfort and it's the world. They tell us this is what it's supposed to be. I mean, it's you. Yeah, you can control everything. No one makes you do anything.
You think about it. That's why news media stations are so smart, because they know 80 to 90% of the people react to what they say really quick, and that's a trap. And that's why they're making what they're making. They know that people are going to fall into it so quickly. Oh, they're going to say something horrible, and everyone, you're gathered with a whole bunch of people in the house. Oh my, that's what happens. But if everyone in that room would just sit back and think about it and go, really?
Yeah.
So it's so quick to react now because there's so much media out there. Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, all the stuff. It's not a trap. It's sometimes good, but people react to it differently.
Yeah, it's just that like this conscious mind is right here, right now. Like you are aware of this. We are aware that we're in this room talking. I know what's about to come out of my mouth. But when you have the subconscious that is like the storage of your brain and those cycles that you've built, if you hear one thing, it triggers you, and you're like, oh yeah, you start going towards that and start talking about that and feeding into it. But the conscious mind can also become the self-aware. That's self-awareness comes in the conscious. Like you've got to be like, stop. Or someone else has to be, like you said, mom was like, hey, you got to change. Sometimes that's what we need. But then you also have to, that's step one. Self-awareness could be awareness from someone else. But then you have to take the initiative to be like, okay, let's make a plan. Let's start taking action and let's change this. It can be done.
First reaction when I was told I needed a change, my first reaction said, I don't need a change.
Defensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the best example of self-awareness is going back to golf, Tiger Woods, on how many masters he's gone through. Like one of the best, I'm probably the best golfer that we've ever seen in our lifetime. But if you look back on YouTube or whatever, and you listen to like him and the audios of him on the course, and whenever he hits a terrible shot, he's like, come on, Tiger. Why the hell did you do that? Come on, Tiger. Talking to himself, being self-aware of like, okay, that's not what I meant to do, but it's just like spilling the coffee. Like, that was a terrible shot. I'll spill coffee, but how can I get out of that situation? Come on, Tiger. How do you do this? You just listen to how he talks to himself. Yeah. And that's exactly how you should be on, not just on the course, but in your life.
Take ownership.
Yeah.
Take personal responsibility. Like you said, at first you were defensive.
Yeah.
But I think it really takes you realizing that in order to change, I got to do it. And then when you start seeing the change, you're like, oh crap. Yeah, that's a lot better. I mean, and then you just callous it.
I don't think Tiger Woods blamed anyone but himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wonder what that took. I wonder where it took it might have taken that person to see that. But then once you start seeing the results, like, oh yeah, this actually really works. I mean, it takes an aha moment.
Mm-hmm. It's actions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone has actions from the past. And if they don't learn from their actions, then they're not going to talk to themselves and blame them for it. They're going to blame everyone else.
Yeah.
Right.
So there was actions that happened to Tiger Woods that made him think, wow, you know, what's happening? And so until anyone realizes what they've done or screwed up on, or they take actions on what they've learned from what they've done in the failures. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I go back to, I was always worried about failure. Now I look about what I've done as a failure. I've learned so much more. It's made me grow so much better to create these habits to where I can say, I'm going to fail, but can I adapt to it?
Learn.
And learn.
Yeah, because you were you had the fear of failure, so you attracted it, and you just stayed stagnant.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, that was good.
Yeah.
You got anything else to add or anything? I mean, we kind of summarized it. Just become self-aware, and then make that plan, take action, and focus. Keep the focus. Build that discipline, and adapt to other situations in life, because the situations are not going to go away.
No.
If you want to grow in life, you are going to experience some hardship, and the only way is to not fear it. Think of it as, okay, if I'm going to experience this, I accept that, but I will learn from it. I will go through it, I will learn from it, and then I will build off of it. So
I think failure is like a second chance instruction manual.
Fail, what was it? First attempt in losing, or first attempt in learning, or something like that acronym I seen.
I don't know.
Yeah.
To a lot of people, failure is a cuss word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you got to accept it
Mm-hmm.
and learn from it. So a lot of business owners, you know, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen some young business owners growing. They're going to fail.
Yeah.
But they worry about it because I did the same thing.
Yeah. So in the end, just don't focus on the word balance. I would suggest, because when you're trying to balance something, your focus is not going to be 100% on what you want to be in. You're going to be like, well, I can't put too much over here because then it's going to start tipping this way, and that's balance. You're trying to balance that, and that's not going to work. You got to put 100% in each task that you're doing. It's very capable. You're able to do that because, one, we can't multitask. Only geniuses can multitask, supposedly, because it's just going to take away. You can't take away that time. Like, you might say, oh, I have my phone right here and I'm with my kids playing, but I just got an email through work. Let me check that real quick. That's not there. You got to be there.
Yeah, that's why the habits, the
Yeah.
routine, you adapt.
Yeah.
There's going to be 100% something happen. You 100% take care of it.
Yeah. And
If another thing 100% happens, you adapt and take care of it.
don't beat yourself up over
Yep.
it either, because we are human. You can always revert back to those disciplines. So
Yep.
yeah, well, that was a good one, guys. Appreciate it. Follow, like, share, comment, everything on our social medias. We're on Facebook, Instagram. You can email us, Drew or Kelby at armcoreinc.com. Ask us questions. We'll answer them on the show. We just got done with one of our giveaways. I'm sure we're going to have another one coming up in the near future. You got anything else to add?
No, I think we're good.
All right.
Yep.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Good one.
You're going to say
Share the show so we can grow.
All right.